Both Everton and Palace, there's a reasonable chance in both those games, the bookies would say it was, that Liverpool take the lead in those games. The key, and we've seen it specifically in the Palace games before, is get the frigging second goal, whatever you do. We've been to Palace and really been so dominant in the first half hour there many times, but often it's with just a goal in the bank, and then at some point, madness breaks out, and the crowd gets.
You say
up.
this, but I think we've won every game bar
Is it just perception
since about 2014.
No, we find a way.
Maybe
but
two.
We find
Yeah.
a way. But
It's been hard games. It was a hard game there last year, and again, this is another one where it is the idea of if you get one, do find your way to get it into two. The only thing with them, I'll say again, is just that they're just not very used to losing at the minute. Crystal Palace have not lost many games of football for a long period of time, and I think that's got to be your concern.
have they started? What their three look like?
They've won 1 and drawn 2 so far. Again, they're just a difficult proposition in a number of different ways.
I think we opened them. I know the narrative is that they did brilliantly and beat us at Wembley on penalties, and all the plaudits are with them. But we did open them up quite a lot in that game.
Yeah, but this is back to your point before, though. Like the funny thing about that game is it's a good example of one where Liverpool go 1-0 up. They have 2 or 3 really good opportunities to create opportunities to go 2-0 up.
Yeah.
They don't take them, and then they go and get punished. So you are more worried about Palace in terms of getting all the points, and I think that's perfectly legitimate.
The Blues?
With the Blues, I feel as though the Moyes factor's in play. I feel as though they'll be stuck. Moyes is always at his most problematic, I think, if you are on the side of David Moyes, when it's going well, and that involves therefore needing to be a bit more expansive at a place where you wouldn't normally be expansive, and then he doesn't know where the line is, and he doesn't know how to approach those games. It's a funny thing to say, because I think Moyes showed when he was West Ham manager, when it was going well, in games that West Ham should go on and win, he was able to set them up in a way that was front-footed, positive, and could get results. In games when he was West Ham manager and Everton manager in the past, where there's games where West Ham and Everton should be very much second best, he was able to set up in a way which was, and we're second best. He's struggled when we're slightly better than either of the, slightly worse than Camp 1, slightly better than Camp 2, going to a ground where we expect to be second best, because he won't, I'd be surprised, but he will play the side that's brought into the party. But now suddenly you're asking Jack Grealish to be doing loads of graft going back towards his own goal. Well, so far it's been fun. And Dye showed last season that he is a really, really good player and he will graft. But he's now, a lot of what's been working for you, that's now not there. Suddenly the ball's not sticking up front because it's at Anfield rather than at Goodison, and Beto looks a little bit like a lost lamb. Dewsbury Hall's getting swept up in nonsense, and before you know where you are, that's collapsing back on itself. But also he's not prepared to say to any of those players, listen, no defensive responsibility or less defensive responsibility on you. Go up there, cheat, make their lives difficult. He won't do that. No. So you end up that when he's in this mishmash scenario is where I think he's at his most vulnerable, and I think we'll beat Everton. And I don't want to say relatively comfortably because you'll get cross with me and everyone listening will get cross with me. But I can say, when I say relatively comfortably as well, I'm not saying we're going to whack them. It just wouldn't surprise me if it's got the nice little flavour of a goal in the first half, a goal in the second half, and everybody sort of says, see you later on. That's what I actually mean, and I feel as though and this could fall nicely for us in a couple of ways. I'm saying all of that while saying obviously I'll be a bag of nerves in the run up to it.
Phil, can I ask you, how good are Galatasaray? I haven't checked this.
They've got a fair amount of players. Like there's a lot of money in Turkish football at the minute.
They're top 3, aren't they? In this?
No, they're top 4. I think PSV and Frankfurt are pot 3 teams, aren't they?
Okay.
So yeah, they are. I think that we got them in Karabag from pot 4, and getting them from pot 4 was probably the hardest we could have got. They've got Victor Osimhen up front. They've got a fair few decent players. There's a decent amount of money in Turkish football at the minute, hence why Anana's managed to go to Trabzonspor while Ederson's managed to go to Fenerbahce, and Anana's gone to Trabzonspor because I think Galatasaray bought the Trabzonspor goalkeeper for about 40 million quid. So there's a lot of money knocking round at the minute.
I want to see this goalkeeper.
Honestly, it's mad, isn't it?
The reason I asked,
I know this, and I want to see this goalkeeper now.
The reason I asked the question is I'm bringing this back round to.
Best be right, that, isn't it?
I'm bringing this back round to the rotation question because I think it's very easy to convince ourselves and the manager to convince himself for the first 4 games, first 5 games actually, because you've got Southampton there as a buffer, that the manager could, if injuries notwithstanding, actually pick the same 11 and it wouldn't over-test us. Because you go back from a break of sorts, 3 games, not a lot of minutes in the legs. They could pick the same side, not literally, but near as damn it. Southampton, you could change 11. Palace, because you've changed 11, you can pick the same side you had before. But then you hit Galatasaray. That is the key game in a certain sense, ahead of the key game, Chelsea away. So I suppose I'm going to half answer my own question. If we can get the result somehow against Atletico, beat them, then I think that takes some pressure off the Galatasaray lineup. And I think in an ideal world, he'd like to go to Galatasaray and think, I can beat these with 6 of the 11 I'd like to start against Chelsea.
It's a big gap before Chelsea, though, isn't it?
Is it a big gap?
It's Tuesday, Saturday.
Saturday.
Tuesday, Saturday.
It's not that big a gap. With travel, I don't know that's that big a gap.
It's a big week, that, though, isn't it?
It's a big week.
In terms of a 7-8 days, you look at that, you think, 2 away games in London, there's Galatasaray in there, the Turkey thing, it always just feels like a bit of a pain in the fucking arse to go to Turkey and play football. It just does. It always has done. And maybe it feels slightly different now, but historically it never felt like a nice place to go and play football.
And the travel time,
and the travel time matters and all that. So that's a tough week. That's a week that will test your squad. You don't know where people are going to be, where the fitness is. I think the Southampton game, just to kind of pedal back a little bit, will be interesting because everyone always assumes that it will be a really, really kind of weird, weak team in that part of the League Cup, but sometimes it ends up being. West Ham played last year. I remember thinking.
Well, I was thinking.
A lot of changes.
I was thinking last night what the back four looked like against Southampton. Like the back
five.
five. The back five is probably going to be Mamadashvili, Bradley or Frimpong, Joe Gomez, Leone, and Andy Robertson.
Yeah.
That can start Premier League games and you go, well, that's all right.
And the midfield could be, because maybe you've rested McAllister from a game, it could be McAllister, Jones and Endo in midfield. Or
there's Endo, Leone and AN.
It could be.
But you know what, Rob, we've touched on it, but I do keep coming back to the fact that you've now suddenly got this fella on the bench who Liverpool are going to be using for 20 minutes, half an hour, that he's just going to terrify teams. Like one of the reasons, and I mentioned before about having a top forward, a top goalkeeper, all that. But I always think back to when Newcastle played Arsenal last season in the League Cup. I just couldn't believe the torrid time he gave Saliba and Gabriel. I couldn't believe it. He fucking battered the pair of them. Like, he beat them up. Yeah. He beat the pair of them up. And those two are lauded as the best centre-half pair in the league, and they could not deal with them at all. They win 2-0 Newcastle. Gordon scores, Isak scores. He also scores in the league game at St James's against them. Great header. I just think when you've got a centre-forward like that and you get him in the right nick, it's just a terrifying proposition for the opponents.
I hope you're enjoying this free show at the moment. Loads of excellent, exciting stuff on the Anfield app. If you want to be part of the whole thing, you can download the Anfield app and go from there. Or you can subscribe via the YouTube membership as well for video-only content and other bits and pieces. We love doing these shows. We love that you watch them. So come, be part of the journey with us.